So anybody have any questions before we get started? And Joe makes me host again. There we go. Okay, you've used Zoom before. Okay. Allison, okay. We probably use, you're using Zoom because you're in a meeting right now. So that's something that you can do. And thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. So Joe's going to make me host in just a second, and we are now ready to start. Well, thanks for being patient with us today. I had to take care of something in another room and just got started with the meeting a little bit later than I normally do. Normally, I'm in here about 5 minutes early. So, any questions people have about Zoom virtual backgrounds before I kind of start explaining what it is and then how to use it, because we're actually going to show you how to use it today as well. Lee, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have a Zoom background for a group that I meet with weekly,
Yeah.
but I can't seem to use that same background for other Zoom meetings that I'm not the host for.
Do you use a different Zoom account?
I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes, Zoom's virtual backgrounds feature, usually it works when you log into Zoom. But sometimes there's a 99% chance that something works, but there are some occasional quirks about Zoom that don't always save the virtual background feature. We'll take a look at what it is. I know I have two accounts with Zoom. And sometimes we use a virtual background a little bit differently, okay? So, and then Allison has a question. She wants to know how to put new pictures as a background. We're gonna get to that, Allison, and we are going to address how to use pictures from your device, okay? And I'm gonna show you how to use it on both a desktop and on a mobile device. But I'm gonna explain a few things to you as well about virtual backgrounds, okay? Okay, all right. So let me share a few slides here, do a few introductions. Thanks for joining us today for Zoom virtual backgrounds. I'm moving a few things around my screen here so I can make it easier to take care of a few things that I can monitor. So if you see me moving my head from side to side, it's because I'm moving from one screen to another and just changing my view. Okay, I'm Bob Cohen. I see a lot of new people that haven't taken a class from me before, so that's great. I was born in Chicago. I went to college in the West Coast and stayed here working in the technology industry. I've used online meeting software for a really long time, and I've taught technology to adults since about 2007 through community colleges here in California, and have done that for quite a long time. And I like making technology a little bit easier to understand. I was doing a class earlier this morning on all about web browsers. I do mostly technology classes as well. So if you've been with Get Set Up and taken classes, we learn from each other. Ideally, we can see you and your cameras are on. So like what Lee was waving, it's great to be able to see when people wave to get my attention. You can also use something called the reaction setting in Zoom. On the bottom of the screen of your window, there's a button called reactions, and you can actually raise your hand virtually in a Zoom window. And we are recording class so that we are going to be able to give it to you as a link to the recording after class at help@getsetup.io. If you're joining by live stream, we are live streaming the class. We encourage you to participate. Join us at getsetup.io, our website, and register. It's free, and register for a class. We offer over 300 different classes on all types of topics. And even though we're going to mention some products here, we're not paid to promote anything specific. We're just here to offer some learning. So I'm going to explain some things about what the requirements are for using virtual backgrounds, not for using Zoom, because you're all using Zoom if you're in the meeting, right? But The question is virtual backgrounds, how to change and add virtual backgrounds, and a little bit of the differences between your desktop and your smartphone and your tablet, and also a website or two. And you're going to get an email as follow-up from the class that'll have links to Zoom help and any website I mentioned and other things that are here as well. So did anyone have any questions at this point before we go into discussing what you need to be able to do to use virtual backgrounds? Okay, so I'm going to bring up a link here for virtual background requirements in Zoom. And it's really easy to find on the internet. You just do a search for it, but it's complicated. I wish I could say it was really, really easy, but there's two ways to know if your computer or smartphone or tablet will work with Zoom. One is to look up the system requirements in Zoom here. The other is to just try it out. And sometimes it's simpler just to try it out, but I want to let you know where you can find it. You're going to get a link to this and what these things mean, what these terms mean. Okay, so right now you are seeing me with an image behind me. Okay, that is an image. Okay, when we talk about Zoom and it says image only, that's what they mean, is an image, a picture. Okay, it's a picture. And there's also the opportunity to use a video as well. Okay, so Carol's asking me if I can enlarge my screen. Carol, there's actually a setting that you have control over in your Zoom settings. If you look at the top where it says you are viewing Bob Cohen's screen,
Yes.
it actually lets you enlarge your view of the screen. To the right of that, there's a little drop-down menu that lets you change the percentage.
Full screen?
Yeah, well, full screen will make it as big as possible. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but you can
Okay.
also change it to any of the percentages you want to, because Zoom kind of adjusts it between what my monitor is and what your monitor is, and it doesn't do a few things right. But I'm going to try and make the text a little bit bigger on here,
Okay.
just enlarging the text, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure, sure. There we go. See, but I'll lose some of the image on the screen here. Okay, there we go. Okay. So what I have on Zoom right now is my picture is behind me. And there's this thing called a green screen. And what Zoom does is Zoom has this capability to read what's behind you. The technology that's going on in your computer when you're using a virtual background is a couple of different things. And I'm going to draw a little bit here. These are pictures of green screens, and I'll show you my green screen in a minute. What happens is that you've got yourself here, and this is my top-notch drawing skills. This is as good as it gets with Bob, okay? Okay, so you're looking at a camera, a webcam or something on your computer. And the webcam takes in everything. It takes in you, and it also takes in things in the background, okay? Like bookshelves, chairs, furniture, tables, whatever you've got back here, okay? It's all this stuff. And then what happens is that the computer camera connects to your computer, and it's a laptop or a desktop. A laptop's easier for me to draw quicker. And then when it shows up on Zoom, Zoom basically says, oh, okay, we're going to show Bob and everything that's behind Bob, okay? What's really behind me, okay? That's what your camera looks at, and Zoom is video, showing you video of what is behind everybody else. So the camera's just showing you what's really there. The magic of virtual backgrounds is that your camera can be used by your computer to say, wait a second, we want to ignore everything behind Bob. We want to ignore what's really back there. And we're going to figure out Bob or you, and we're going to replace that. Instead of what's here, we're going to put a picture behind you through the software in the computer. And that's the magic of Zoom virtual backgrounds. It just replaces what's really behind you with a picture or a video, okay? Now, the thing about this green screen function here, I'm going to show you that I really have a green screen. I'm going to change my virtual background to none. Let me get, okay, so if I change it to none, this is a real green screen. It's a piece of fabric that's behind me. And I have it hanging. It's about, as wide as my arms can stretch. So the camera sees me and it sees everything behind me is one color, green. The magic of computing is that when you have a physical green screen, you are making it a little bit easier for your computer to separate you from the background. It's kind of like, well, let's see, you ever make chili and you have the chili pepper and you've got seeds inside and you want to separate out the seeds, right?
Yeah.
When you're separating the seeds, it makes it, makes the chili pepper a little milder, right? The seeds can sometimes be a really hot part. So by separating out and making one color behind you, you make it a little bit easier on your computer to do the work. So that's why they say these things, image only without a physical green screen. That's the most demanding and requirement is video without a physical green screen. You need a really fast computer to do that. You need a reasonably fast computer to do video with a green screen. If you have an image with a physical green screen, that's the lowest requirement you can have for a computer. So sometimes you can make it easier for your computer to do it if you have an image and you use a physical green screen. That's why people use green screens. This will show you that Zoom virtual backgrounds work on Windows, Macs, iPhones, iPads, Linux, and Android, but not Chromebooks. Zoom virtual backgrounds does not work on Chromebooks, unfortunately. So they'll give you all this information, and I want to let you know that it's available for you to refer to. And if you know what kind of a processor you have, it can help out. Usually, for the most part, what I've seen is computers that are reasonably, powerful, that have been bought in the past 4 or 5 years will usually work with virtual backgrounds. But if you're having a problem with the virtual background, it's usually because the computer's not fast enough or you just don't have enough lighting, okay? And so this is what you would refer to if you're not able to get virtual backgrounds working. And sometimes Zoom will start to tell you now that virtual backgrounds won't really work even when you start up your computer. Okay, that's about as complicated as we're going to get today, okay? Which I apologize for. I didn't make the requirements up. Zoom does, and unfortunately, there's, whenever you use computer software, it will say you need to have this speed of computer in order to use it. So let's take a look at a couple of ways you can set up your virtual background. When you're in a meeting like now, there are some ways you have to do it, but there are other ways you can do it when you're not in a meeting. And I think I'm going to have a sneeze here a second. Okay. And then if you want to open up the Zoom app, now when you're not in a meeting, you have a Zoom app that's on your computer. And when you open up the Zoom app and you click on a settings gear in the upper right-hand corner, you get the ability to select the backgrounds and filters from the list. And you can see if you have virtual backgrounds available, or you can use the plus button to select them on your computer. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it when you're not in a meeting is to start Zoom on your desktop, smartphone, or tablet. I find this one of the easiest ways to do it myself, and so I recommend it. But I wanted to show you the other way, just in case you end up in that situation. But when you're not in a meeting, you can open up the Zoom app, and you do need to be logged into your Zoom account. And usually you are, but if you're not, you have to log into your account. You can start a new meeting anytime. It's just you. It doesn't matter. You can start a meeting that's just you. And this works for the free account and the paid account. It doesn't matter, free or paid, they both work, okay? And when you start a new meeting, then you are in a meeting just by yourself, but you have access to all of the controls that you might want to use while you're in a meeting. Okay. In the desktop app, and I know some of you are probably going to get ahead of me, but that's okay. In the desktop app, you'll have a small microphone in the lower left-hand corner and a small video camera. And I'm going to show you this in a few steps on my computer. We'll go through it several times. And when you click on the little arrow next to the video camera, you see an option called Choose Virtual Background. When you click on that, you bring up this window that you would normally get to through settings. And when you want to look for it, sometimes you'll get a message that says your computer doesn't support virtual backgrounds, but if it does, you'll get this screen that pops up, and you might see none, and you might see some standard images that come with Zoom. But you can always click on the plus sign to add an image or a video. Images are easier than video. When you click on the plus sign, it brings up this little menu called Add Image. And when I show it on my computer screen, it's going to look small, which is why I took these screenshots. And then when you click on Add Image, it brings up the folders and files on your computer. You just have to have a picture somewhere on your computer in a folder or a file, and then you can select it and click Open, and it will load that picture into your virtual background. So that's how it does it, okay? Then your virtual background will be up there. Now, smartphones and tablets work a little bit different. And on a smartphone in the Zoom, when you're in a meeting, you'll see some things at the bottom of your smartphone screen, and you'll see a button that has 3 dots and says More. On an iPad, you'll see it at the upper right. It has 3 dots and says More. Okay, they both will say More. Now, if you click on More, you will see some options. And one of the options you'll see will say Background in it somewhere. Zoom's been changing this menu a little bit as they've been doing things. And so sometimes it'll just say Virtual Background. Sometimes it'll say Background and Filters, but whenever it says Background, you just tap on that, and that opens up your device to be able to use and select a background from your iPhone, iPad, or Android phone. If you don't see this on your phone, you might have an older model iPhone, or you might not have an Android model that Zoom supports. And that's when you can go check that website, so System Requirements for Virtual Backgrounds, and see if it does it. Okay, so any questions before we try this out? Okay. All right, so I'm going to share my whole screen, because in order for you to see my Zoom controls, you have to see my whole screen, which means you're going to see my gallery. Now, at the same time I'm broadcasting to you, I'm also watching myself on my iPad so I can see what you see as well. Okay, so I'm going to share my entire screen. That's going to show you everybody, okay? So now you're seeing my whole screen. You're seeing the gallery view that I'm seeing, as well as my Zoom controls at the bottom. I have more controls than you do because I'm the host right now, but you will have a microphone and you'll have a video camera. They're really, really small. I'm going to try and use my drawing tools to help you see where they are. So if you look down here where I'm drawing my arrow, you'll see that little tiny up arrow next to the video control. You will see this on yours as well. Now, you can't click on mine. Mine's just projecting on the screen, but you can click on yours if you want to, okay? So what will happen is I will click on this little arrow here next to the video camera. And when I click on that up arrow, it brings up the menu. And like I say, it's really small, so that's why I took the screenshots earlier. One of the options is choose virtual background. Okay, that's what I want for using virtual background. So if I choose virtual background, I bring up this little window that shows me live, and it shows the backgrounds that I have saved. And it also gives me the ability to check or uncheck. I have a green screen. Yours will not be checked unless you have that physical green screen like I have. You don't want to check that because it won't make it look any better. And then I can click on the plus button to add an image. So if I click on the plus button and go to add image, I'm able to see files that I have on my computer. Now, what I find works best for me, and I recommend it to people too, is when you have a photo you want to use for a virtual background, create a folder on your computer called backgrounds. Okay, it doesn't matter where it is, as long as you can find it. Whenever you have a photo you want to use as a background, just save it in that background folder, because you never know. I mean, something can happen and Zoom can change, or your photo can, be not available. And so as long as you've got it in the backgrounds folder, it's going to be easy for you to find. So here's a picture I took of the 2020 Rose Parade. I'm in Southern California. I grew up in Chicago, and as kids in California, the kids go to the Rose Parade, as part of a high school activity. My late wife was in a marching band, and she played in a marching band at the Rose Parade, but I had never been to the Rose Parade. So I went, pre-COVID to a Rose Parade, woke up at like 3 a.m. and got ready to go. So I took some pictures there. And one of the pictures I took was of this float. And if I open up that picture now becomes my virtual background. Okay, so whatever picture you choose will become your virtual background. You just have to know where to find the picture. Okay. So if you want to try that out. We're going to go through it one more time, okay? Because I think repeating things makes it easier to do once you repeat them, okay? You have to have your video on. So if I turn on stop video, if I click on stop video and turn my video camera off, for example, my little square does not show me with a virtual background. It just shows a picture, okay? But if I turn the video back on, then it will show me in the virtual background. Now, sometimes you've got some issues. I seem to have a fast enough computer that seems to work pretty well with virtual backgrounds, whether I have a green screen or not. I can turn off the green screen feature and we can see what that looks like. So here's the little button here that says I have a green screen. I'm going to turn that off. And there, it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. But you can notice that when I move my face side to side, my glasses are a little fuzzy sometimes and they blur in and out. And if you have a a problem with yourself not being, really clear and kind of fading in and out, that ghosting capability, that is what's happening. Sometimes that's a result of the lighting you have in front of you. So you want to have a lot of light in front of you. I actually have a light to my right on the desk, a right to my left, and an overhead light that's, just a ceiling light, but it's bouncing off the wall. And it's about 300 watts of lighting. Your camera works better when it has a lot of light. Okay, so that's helpful as well. Now we're going to look at tablets and how the mobile devices work in just a minute, because I've got my iPad hooked up to the meeting and I can share my screen from that. Okay. So let's see. Does the picture stay? Well, usually it does. Okay. So if I scroll down here, here's my Rose Parade picture that is here on my computer. And here's other virtual backgrounds that I've used that are saved in my collection here. But sometimes I'll not see that virtual background. And I did discover accidentally, I deleted a photo from my computer and virtual backgrounds couldn't find it again. It didn't show up here, just showed up as a blank space. So if you delete a photo, that will make it disappear from here for sure. But usually if you log back into Zoom and you have through your desktop application, it will bring up your virtual backgrounds. If you go into Zoom through, say, a website as opposed to the application, sometimes that will cause your virtual backgrounds not to appear. Now, the other thing that happens is that if you have a virtual background on your phone, it is not on your desktop. You actually have to set up virtual backgrounds separately from your phone or your tablet or your desktop. They're all actually separate. So any questions about that on your desktop? And I'm going to go to my tablet next and show you.
One question I put in the chat. Should you check the mirror my video also? Should that be checked? Next to, I have a green.
Oh, no, you don't want to mirror. What mirroring does, I'll show you mirroring really quickly. Good question, Claudia. If I go to choose my virtual background, I'm going to change it to a get set up background. What mirror my video does is it flips the picture like that. So now you see, if I go and change this to my virtual background, you'll see that my virtual background is flipped here in my little area right here, okay? My little video cam. But if flipping the background does not change it, so if I go to, let's see, if I go to share screen and I do it differently, let's see if I try this in a different way. I share my screen and I go to mirror my video. This is not mirrored. So you can see get set up, the logo is in the upper left and it's in the upper left in my window here. And if I click on mirror, it changes the direction of the text. Okay. I can do it with a picture too, but normally you would not need to mirror your video. Okay. Carol, you have your hand up. Thank you for using the reactions button.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, okay. Now, when I go to stop video, I press the little click and I'll choose virtual backgrounds. So when I choose that, what comes up, it says backgrounds and filters. But then on the right-hand side, it says virtual backgrounds. It says none. Do I click that or what do I do?
Sure. When you see, let me share what's, I think, so when you see, you're just seeing none here in the middle,
Yes.
right? You don't see any
Yes.
pictures.
No.
Two things could be going on.
Okay.
One could be that you just need to update your version of Zoom from the zoom.us website. Okay, if you download the latest version of Zoom,
Okay,
may give you virtual backgrounds. And to be honest, I have tried my best to figure out why some people see none and others don't. The other is if you try clicking on I have a green screen, if you see some pictures show up, then it's just that's what it's telling you that Zoom's virtual background, your computer's not quite fast enough to support virtual backgrounds. But
okay,
you can always click on the plus button. Do you see a plus button?
yes. It
If you
says
click
add image.
add image,
Okay, I
and
click that.
if you can find a photo on your computer, you should be able to add it as a virtual background.
So how do I find my pictures
Well,
from here?
yeah, that's another subject probably.
Okay, okay,
As long as you have a picture, whatever you use for keeping photos in your computer,
okay,
you can use that and save that on your and I would just export the photo to someplace on your desktop. Okay,
okay. Thank you.
sure. Okay, so let me stop sharing here for a second so I can see everyone and see what else. Okay, so let's see. No, so Carol, that's what's going on. And then mirror, no. The added picture, Steph, does the added picture stay in the gallery? It should, Steph. But like I say, there seems to be once in a while, it doesn't. And I'm not sure why, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why, but occasionally, I know in some situations, I'll log into Zoom to start a meeting and everything will be the same. In other situations, once out of maybe 50 meetings, I may not see my virtual background, but it's supposed to be there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the mobile people, because I know you've been waiting patiently, and thank you, because the mobile people are saying, how do I get this working on my Android or iPhone or iPad, right? And we got you covered, I hope. Okay, I'm going to try sharing my iPad screen.
Okay.
And
Bob, I put a virtual background on and see, and I don't know if you can see, but see how it's all makes my hair move and so on. What does that mean?
The ghosting means that you may not have a fast enough computer, or you may not have enough. Sometimes you can fix it with better lighting. If you have bright light behind you, that works against you. You want to have as much lighting in front of you as possible. So if you have a window behind you, that works against you. The other is that not all computers come with decent quality webcams. It's one of the areas that computer manufacturers cut costs. And so buying an accessory webcam that plugs into a USB cable connector can sometimes improve your virtual background performance as well. How old a computer do you have, Sylvia? Do you know?
Probably 5 years.
It's probably the speed of the computer that might be causing the issues, I suspect. But check your processor. If you just type in and do a Google search for the processor model for the computer you've got, it should tell you what the model of CPU is inside of it. It's like telling you if you've got a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder or an 8-cylinder engine inside your car, that's the CPU performance. That really affects the ability to use virtual back. Because like 5 years ago, Zoom wasn't being used all the time, right? Even a year ago, right? So what happens is that live video really demands a lot of a computer, unfortunately.
So one should have at least how much?
Well, Zoom tells you that if you have a certain level performance CPU, virtual backgrounds will work. It may not work as well as you want it to. So that's, but finding something that's reasonably, good, performance should work. So try light, an inexpensive approach is to try lighting first, improve the lighting in front of you, then try ordering a webcam. You can get them on Amazon or even at Costco. Get it from a place where you can, and that will help you out, okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Claudia, you have your hand up.
I was going to tell Sylvia I had the same problem, and I got a webcam because my computer's older and it works well now with the webcam.
Okay.
So you're able to get virtual backgrounds working with the new webcam, Claudia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to share my iPhone or my iPad screen here. So give me just a second here. I have to tap something on my iPad. And let's see if I have to give myself co-host privileges. And then I should be able to share my screen. I don't look very good on my iPad. I'll tell you that right up front. Okay, so now I'm sharing my iPad screen and I'm going to hit my home button so you can see. It's just a white screen, nothing fancy. And you're actually seeing me sharing my screen with my little window here in the lower bottom. Now I can't draw real well on my iPad. So if you look in the upper left of the screen, it says a red button that says leave, L-E-A-V-E. Okay, move your eyes over to that section. Then we're going to move your eyes to the right where it says Zoom. Okay, and then move your eyes to the right where it says join audio, and it's got like a set of earphones there. Then start video, and then stop share, and then participants, and then there's 3 dots and the word more. Okay, when you look at your screen on an iPhone or an Android phone or an iPad, you'll always see the join the audio, video, participants, and more button. Well, I'm participants because I'm co-host, but you always see that more button. So when you tap the more button, a menu pops up. Okay, it brings you, that's because the desktop screen is bigger. It gives you all of these controls in the bottom and on the top, but on your iPhone and iPad, it's got a small screen, so it can't give you those controls very easily. So what I want to look for is this thing called background and filters. It might say virtual backgrounds, it might say background and filters, but as long as it has the word background in it, it's a menu that you can select by tapping on it. Remember, your iPhone, Android, and phone tap. So if we tap on background and filters, mine's going to look a little different than yours, okay? So I'm going to hold up my iPad this way, horizontal, and I have a menu on the right that has a black section that says background at the top, and it has none. And you will probably see none when you start this, and a plus sign. I've used it for several classes. So if you tap the plus button, you get access to your photos. Now, the first time you do it, and I can't repeat this, unfortunately, because I've already done it, and I've given your Zoom, you'll get a message saying Zoom needs permission to access your photos. And you have to say yes. Okay, if you don't say yes, it's not going to be able to access your photos. And so you have to say yes, and then Zoom will have permission to get to your photos, because Zoom needs to get to the photo album on your mobile device. On computers, it's just looking for a file on your computer. But on your mobile device, it's looking for a particular photo. So if I take this classroom photo that's underneath the 2 cats on the left, and I tap the classroom, puts a check mark in it, and then I tap done, and it now changes the virtual background on my iPad. So to change it, what's there. And I do have the option to use a green screen if I want to, but I don't use that on my iPad. Then I'm happy with the virtual background. I tap the X in the upper right. That closes that window. And now I'm done with my screen sharing on my iPad. So that 3 dots brings up the menu, background and filters, and you just have to give Zoom permission to find photos on your iPhone or iPad or Android phone. Any questions about mobile devices? Because that's how it works on now. If you set it up on your computer, you have to set it up again on your iPhone or iPad or Android. It's not automatically there on all your devices, even though you set it up in one place. Carol, should I purchase a new, and Carol, I know you have questions about, should I purchase a new model? It depends. I mean, I don't want to encourage you to spend money on a new computer if you don't have to. One of the students in one of these classes got a green screen for $15 on Amazon and hung that behind them. And then they clicked the checkbox, I have a green screen. And it made it really, really easy for them to use. It worked without them having to upgrade their computer, because the green screen kind of acts like think of it as a booster, like for your computer. It makes it easier for your computer to use virtual backgrounds. Okay, so Rivka, you
Yes.
say you're not finding
No,
green screen. Are you using an iPhone, an iPad, or an Android?
a Samsung tablet, Android.
Okay, so if you do not see the menu that says that you don't have a virtual background menu item, that means that your device does not support virtual backgrounds. Okay, with Android tablets and phones, Zoom is much more particular about whether it will support virtual backgrounds or not. So I recommend you look up the model number of your Samsung, your tablet, and then check it against the Zoom virtual backgrounds. But there's a 90% chance that it's probably not a powerful enough device to support virtual backgrounds, or Zoom doesn't support it with your device is all. Okay, and Carol says you don't have the 3 dots. Are you using an iPhone, iPad?
Laptop.
Okay.
I don't
Laptop,
see it anywhere on there.
on desktops, you don't see 3 dots anywhere. That's
No.
only on mobile
got-
devices.
Excuse me?
It's only on
Oh.
mobile devices.
Oh,
On the desktop, you
okay.
use the you use the up arrow next to your little video camera. So at the bottom of your screen, you have a small microphone, you have a microphone and a video camera at the lower left.
Yes.
Next to that video camera is a tiny little up arrow.
Okay, I click that.
Click on that, and then you'll see virtual backgrounds.
Uh-huh.
Virtual background is an option.
Okay.
And then when you click on that, you will see the menu that pops up that lets you either select a virtual background that you might have available, or the plus button to add a picture.
No, it's not. I would just have to update my Zoom. That's the only thing that I can see at this moment.
Okay, now it
Yes.
doesn't tell you though that you can't use virtual backgrounds. What happens when you click on the choose virtual background menu? When you click that up arrow next to the video camera and you
Uh-huh.
choose virtual background, what does it do?
Okay, it says, okay, choose virtual background, and then below it says video settings. That's all I have.
Okay, click on choose virtual background.
Okay, I did that.
And then what do you see a screen that shows you?
The settings, yes.
Okay, and it has you, and it has, I'm gonna share my screen for a second here so
Mhm.
that we can follow along. So
Okay.
we go to choose virtual background. You see this screen like mine?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you see any virtual background pictures available to you to pick?
No, I do not.
You just see none, right?
Yes, I've just seen none.
Okay, so one thing you can do is upload or download the latest version of Zoom,
Mhm.
or you can click on the plus button if you know where to find a photo on your computer.
Okay.
And if you click on the plus button and select add image,
Mhm.
then if you can find a photo on your computer, you can select it and then click open, and it will change your virtual background to that picture.
Okay.
So that's how it gets the picture. That's how you change the virtual background, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You just have to know where the picture is.
Okay.
That sometimes is a challenge, I know, but
Yes.
okay, so
Okay. Thanks.
looks like Ann's got virtual backgrounds working, and don't remember you've got to have your video camera. So sometimes your device may not technically be able to support virtual backgrounds, and that's where why I mentioned the Zoom virtual background requirements is up there too. Okay. So let's see what else is useful. Hey, would you like to find a website that would give you the ability to download free pictures for your virtual background? Okay. Well, let me show you one. Okay. I'm going to share my web browser here. And I'm going to go to a new tab. And this website is going to come in the email. Actually, I'm going to give you a link to several websites, but I find it really, really useful. It's called Pexels, Pexels.com. They are what's called a free stock photo library. And it's Mother's Day, so obviously we should look for a Mother's Day photo, right? So if I start typing in Mother's Day and I click on Mother's Day, it will bring up virtual background pictures that I can use. If I want to use one of these, I scroll over the picture and I can click on a little down arrow that downloads the picture to my computer. Okay, so I'm going to share my whole screen. I'm going to change my sharing, and I'm going to share my whole computer screen again. It's going to make things a little smaller, but I want to show you what happens when I go to download this picture. So when I have to find my browser here, there we go. Okay. So when I click on this, I'm moving my mouse on this picture, and there's a little down arrow that I'm hovering over. I'm going to click on that. You're going to see the picture, a little file kind of zoom down to my desktop. I click that, it zoomed down really fast. It was really fast. Okay, so that picture is now in my download folder here. Okay. And so I'm going to move it, just drag it over to my desktop here. So now what I have to do is I have to find that picture in order to share it. Where did I put it now? There it is. Okay. So the picture is over here on the right of my computer screen. I'm going to draw a picture, circle around it. Picture is over here. Okay. And I have to go down to my Zoom background, virtual background settings. And I have to click on this, click on choose virtual background. And then I get this setting screen that pops up. I click on plus, add image. And this image is on my desktop right here. And I just click on it and I click on open. And then it brings up that background for my virtual background. So why would you care about using virtual backgrounds? Well, I think Lee, you mentioned earlier that you have an organization you belong to. Sometimes you might want to do it for a holiday event or a special occasion or something else like that, or just for fun to, give people the idea that you're at the beach, relaxing and you have the waves and the palm trees swaying behind you. Is it worth it to upgrade your computer in order to do that? I don't know. That's kind of a debate, but it depends on, but is it worth it to trying out to see if it will work for you? Yeah, give it a try, because it just gives you a little variety. If you want to give people an idea of that you're in a library with bookshelves behind you, you can change it to that image. If you want to give them an idea of your new office setup, if you want to be in an English cottage garden, if you'd rather have some waterfalls behind you, or just even a logo for an organization that you want to have for a brand, you can do that as well. But as long as it's just a fun thing to play with for technology. I'm going to stop sharing here because some of you probably have some questions for me in mind, right? So what kind of questions are we seeing, that people might have about Zoom virtual backgrounds?
Bob, this is Leslie. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I can hear you faintly. Who's that talking?
It's Leslie.
Oh, Leslie, okay.
I am not able to do the backgrounds because I am on a Chromebook. So thanks
Yes.
for sharing that. But is it possible to make your own background? You mentioned with a logo. I could use something like Canva, I would assume, and make my own background.
Yes, you can. There are tools. All you need is an image. It's a photo file. So it's a type of file called JPEG, JPG, and you can create JPG files with Canva. You can even do it with PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
If you want to use PowerPoint to make a slide, you can save it as a JPG file and then
Okay.
use that file for your background and create your own virtual backgrounds.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, and thanks, Canva is a photo and editing tool that's available at canva.com. They have some free tools, and they have some paid tools. But if you already have one of the classes, we don't do it that often, but it's creating custom virtual backgrounds with slide software. So if you're interested in creating a custom virtual background, and the feedback for the class, please send in a comment. We'll try and put in there. So Lee, you got a virtual background. All right. Hey, fantastic. Is that a picture that you took yourself? Yeah. Okay, great. So
Bob,
yeah.
how do you spell Canva? Is that with a C or a K?
With a C, canva.com. Let me
Okay. Thank you.
let me try and type that into chat here. canva.com. I think it's canva.com. Let me double check. Let me bring it up on the website, okay, Carol? Because
Okay, thanks.
hold on a second. Let me bring up my browser. There we go. And let me open up. So Pexels is good for photos, but if you're looking for Canva,
VAS. Okay. CANVAS. Okay.
right there at canva.com. Yeah. Canva's canva.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, sure. I mean, there's all types of tools that you can use in virtual background. They're really great. But obviously, some people want to create their own, and that's really helpful too. But you know, if you want to use it for your business or an organization or a brand name or other things like that, they're really, really helpful and great to be able to use that way. Let me close out a few slides, then we'll take some more questions, okay? Um, Zoom is really good to use for beginners. The advanced Zoom, I recommend, you know, you learn your way around the Zoom controls a little bit. Virtual backgrounds is very specific. Doesn't mean you can't use Zoom. It just means that you may not be able to use a virtual background, but it's kind of nice if you want to eliminate clutter behind you and or like say use a particular picture or photo. It's great. We really appreciate you participating with us on Get Set Up. You're going to get an email after class with some notes. You might have some other class suggestions for you. We've got some feedback that you can provide as well. And often you can request a recording. Now, when you join Get Set Up and you book a class, you can actually invite a friend when you book the class and share your experience. I don't know how anybody use that feature to invite a friend when you book a class. Yeah, it's fun when friends join you because you can share some things with them too. We do have guides, members that host interest groups. So we have a couple of interest groups that are starting up, and you can always suggest a new class or get a session recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. Okay, so Rivka, you have your hand up for a question?
Yeah, I have I had two.
Okay, someone's on two devices, so we're getting some feedback here. Okay.
I had two.
Rivka, go ahead and unmute yourself again.
Okay. I have two devices.
Yes, we're getting feedback, right? Yes.
All
There
right,
we
so,
go. Okay.
so what I wanted, I should turn.
Yeah, I don't know if we can handle your question, Rivka, because when you have two devices on a Zoom meeting at the same time, it looks like you logged out of one of them. But whenever you're using Zoom and you use Zoom with two devices, like I was using Zoom with my desktop and I use Zoom with my iPad, I did not join audio from my iPad so that there's no chance of any feedback, because feedback can be very difficult on your ears.
Okay, I turned it off. So
Okay, great.
Okay, now my question is, maybe if I update my Zoom, maybe I'll be able to do the background on my tablet.
Possibly that's one thing to do that doesn't cost any money. So you want to go to the make sure you download the latest version of the app on your mobile device or your phone or your desktop. Having the latest version of Zoom is always a good thing to do. That might give you the ability to do it. The other thing would be to check with the Zoom virtual background requirements to see if your device is technically capable of supporting virtual backgrounds. And because
Okay.
Zoom will give you a list of requirements for Android devices.
Okay, my question is, where do I go to download the latest version?
Zoom.us
Okay,
is Zoom's website.
now my other question is, um, when I'm on Zoom now, so it's hard for me to see the three dots. So how do I sign in without using any, just by myself to put a background in.
Start when you open up the Zoom app on your device.
Yeah.
Just start a new meeting.
Right?
It'll just be you, and then you'll see all the navigation tools to navigate around Zoom.
I didn't see that. I thought I saw, it says sign in or,
Well, if you're in a meeting, it won't, if you're in a meeting, you should be able to see 3 dots. You might have to tap your screen to have the navigation show up. But it could be that your version of Zoom needs to be updated, or it could be there's a limit on your device that it gives you that has limits on the capabilities of Zoom on your device that may not give you all the options available.
now you told some of the other people to buy that cam. Can I use a secondary device to upgrade?
No, if you're on tablets or phones, no,
Tablet.
you can't do anything. The only way to get a upgraded webcam would be to upgrade the whole device, but it will work on desktops or laptops. Webcams won't work on tablets or phones.
Now, if I do it on my laptop, a virtual background, will that affect my tablet?
No, it'll be completely independent.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so part of it's that, we never really thought about the technology we buy, anticipating that, oh, we're going to be using Zoom. It works with Zoom. Obviously, you can attend a meeting. The question is whether you want to use some of the more advanced features in Zoom, like a virtual background. And lots of times, technology people in stores and retail operations and things like that, they don't know that you might be considering doing that or not. So if it's something that you want to make sure it does it, make sure you have the ability to return the device. I mean, Costco and Best Buy and some other retailers, they've got good return policies so that if your device doesn't do what you want it to do, but you may not have known that you were going to use virtual backgrounds when you bought your device, right?
Right.
And now you want to use it, but you realize, well, the one I bought doesn't work with it. So then you're stuck, unfortunately. So, but we never know what we're going to do with our technology until we start to use it. So it's really a challenge.
Right.
And then who knows? I mean, so if you have any other plans for the day, today's a good day to go out to eat. But I'll tell you, I went to get gasoline this morning, and I drove by a restaurant, and the line was out the door into the parking lot about 50 people long. And every restaurant I drove by has a really long waiting line. Mother's Day is the busiest restaurant day of the year in the United States. And with a lot of restaurants limiting their seating capacity, you've got a real, challenge here today. So hopefully, talk to people, ring them up on Zoom, send them an email, say hi. And for those of you that are mothers out there, happy Mother's Day from Bob and Get Set Up. So hope you enjoy it and have a great rest of the day for yourself. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.